Hello, and thank you so much for joining us today. I am Amber Miller, Associate State Director of AARP, and we're excited to bring you today's guest who will be talking about reducing home hazards. This is to bring awareness. As we know, September is Falls Prevention Month, so we will bring in you videos throughout the month. So I would love to welcome Valeree Lecey, who is an occupational therapist. Thank you so much, Valeree, for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are the key hazards in the home that increase people's risk of falls?
Okay. Well, when we talk about falling in the home or in general, we have to think of falls as being what we call multifactorial, meaning there are more than one factors at play when a person falls. And so this picture that's on the screen now shows that there are different factors, something that we call intrinsic risk factors, extrinsic risk factors, and then the activity itself. So intrinsic risk factors related to falling are what's related to the person, him or herself, like what their gait or their balance is like, if they've had a history of multiple falls, if they're older or what if they're experiencing advanced age, if they have any kinds of visual impairments or hearing impairments, things that are related to the person. Maybe they're taking medications that have side effects that can cause them to fall, or they have an impaired ability to perform activities of daily living safely. So, for example, when they're trying to get dressed or put their socks on, they might fall or they might trip. And then the extrinsic factors that we talk about are things related to the environment, such as whether there are railings on the stairways, whether there are environmental hazards like trips or slips, things like that. So when we're looking at a person's falling, we also take into consideration the activity that they're performing at the time. So it might be that they're trying to reach for something that's out of reach, or they're bringing the groceries from the car into the garage, whatever the activity is. So the three of those together usually cause a fall. So falls are not caused by just one thing. It's usually multifactorial, many things. So I want to just give you a quick picture of a situation where a client fell, and it looks very simple, like a chair. But if you look at this picture, the arrow on the top left is showing that that's the chain to open the drapes. So it's over by the wall. And this chair in front of these drapes is a rocking recliner. So what the person did that fell was reaching out of his base of support to grab that chain in order to open the drapes, but was holding on to that chair, which is the environmental factor. And the chair rocked when he was trying to reach for that chain, and he unfortunately lost his balance because he had poor balance, which is the person again, and he had a pretty serious fall. So something as simple as moving this chair away from the drapes so that he didn't have to reach out of his base of support to open them could have helped prevent a fall. So we're looking at what's in the environment, what's the person's behavior, and what is it about the person themselves that can help reduce falls in the home.
Absolutely. And Valeree, what are some ways that people can either modify their home or their activities so to prevent the falls that you are talking about?
Well, when you think about what the key hazards in the home are, they're things like poor lighting in the stairways or slippery surfaces, lack of handrails or not using those handrails if they have them, having clutter or tripping hazards in the home, using unsteady furniture like that picture I just showed you, keeping items that are frequently used out of reach. And even I'm guilty of that. I keep my food processor up in my cabinet on top of the stove. And it's like I use it every day, but I'm always reaching for it, which isn't a real safe thing to do.
Okay.
Throw rugs, we always hear about the throw rugs, that's a huge tripping hazard in the home, and they should either be removed or taped down. If there are uneven steps or broken steps, and unfortunately, pets can be a real tripping hazard in the home, especially if they get underfoot or if they kind of blend in with the background. I had a golden retriever that matched my kitchen floor exactly, and I can't tell you how many times I almost tripped on him, not paying attention to where he was laying because I was bringing the food onto the table. And even using an assistive device, even if you're using it safely, something like a walker in the home, if a leg of the walker gets caught on a piece of furniture, that can cause a tripping hazard. So again, when we're thinking about things we can do to modify our activities or modify our home, like you asked, we have to first think about what is modifiable, or what can we change about the environment to keep it safe. And if we can't change something that's unsafe in the environment, we have to change how we behave or how we do things. So some things that we could do if we can modify our home is like improve the lighting and reduce shadows and glare, because that can be a real tripping hazard. Use the highest wattage bulbs that we have in our lamps. Removing clutter is really important, and removing those throw rugs or taking them down. Making sure that if you have any rugs in the bathroom that they're skid proof. Using handrails on the stairs when you're walking up and down the stairs, both inside and outside the house. Putting those frequently used items within reach so that you're not having to reach out of your base of support. And having 3 points of contact when you are trying to reach for something can all help to reduce the risks of falling in your home.
Yeah, and these are, great, items that people can bring into their home that look like they're low cost. Valeree, my next question is, let's say somebody has a loved one that they are not living with, and they notice, or they have heard from the loved one, that they're falling a lot, and their gait is unsteady. What recommendations would you give to that loved one or to the caregiver in order to have that conversation with your loved one about, how to prevent falls?
Yeah. Well, I think everybody, or at least most people, want to stay in their homes for as long as possible. A home is a comfortable, familiar place, and you've got friends, you've got neighbors. You want to try to stay in your home as long as possible. So just helping your loved ones, if you are the caregiver, to recognize what some of these hazards might be. For example, that chair that I showed you in front of the window, just pointing out how to do things safer and how to avoid falling can help a loved one stay in their home longer. So you could mention things to them like, don't use unsteady furniture when you're walking or when you're moving from one place to another, or pay attention to when you're walking, and scan ahead and look for those tripping hazards that might be in place. Don't rush. A lot of times falls happen because people are rushing, or they're moving too quickly. They're going from sitting to standing or standing to sitting too quickly, and that's when a fall happens, or they're turning too quickly. You can check the clothing. When my relative was losing weight and her clothes were becoming too loose, she was actually walking on the legs of her pants because the waistbands were too loose.
Wow.
And she was at risk of falling just from walking on her pants legs. So make sure that your loved one has safe clothing. And I know that sounds kind of funny, safe clothing, but when you think of sleeves on house coats or belts on house coats that could get caught on doorknobs and pull you off balance, or you have slippers that are not secure on your feet, kind of those scuff slippers that can be slippery on the bottoms or not fit well, they can fall off, or you can fall just because of the slippers. You can make sure that your loved ones have the ability to go up and down the stairs safely if they have them in their homes, which means not carrying items that block their vision of the stairs. You want to always be able to see the steps in front of you. So you may want to modify things, that there's a way to get the laundry into the basement, or there's some way that they're not having to carry large baskets of laundry or large items downstairs or upstairs, because you always want to make sure you're holding onto a railing. And then make some of those modifications. Install railings if they don't have them. In the bathroom, you want to make sure that there are grab rails. You can have rails around the bed, and I think a couple pictures back there were some pictures of those things, maybe 1 or 2 slides back. You want to make sure that they have night lights that are installed in case they do have to get up in the middle of the night, to use the bathroom. Wipe up spills. A lot of times it's difficult to get down on the floor, so you want to make sure that you have a way of wiping up spills with soapy water. In the picture on the top left is a nightlight that's available. This one is in my home. It's actually the cover to the outlet that's a motion sensor light, so that the lights go on when you walk past it, which is really nice because it doesn't stick out. So it's not catching on anything, or if they're using a walker, it's not going to, hit the walker. So you want to make sure you have lighting. You want to make sure you have safe stairways if there are stairways. You want to make sure that clutter is removed because that's a real tripping or a slipping hazard. Installing the grab bar in the shower or the bathroom, and again, that one on the picture is really attractive. It's a polished brass handrail, so it doesn't look very institutional, and it's a pretty attractive addition to the shower without looking, what's the word, kind of hospital-like or institutional-like. And then if there is trouble with your balance or with standing in the shower, you can get different types of tub benches or shower chairs so that you can sit in the shower or sit high up in the tub, and then use a handheld shower to shower safely. And if you are able to stand in the shower, a nice sturdy mat like the last picture that helps you to prevent falling or sliding in the shower can be really helpful. So just thinking about, again, the environment that you're living in, your home that you're in, and then what you can do to modify your behavior. It's what's going to keep you safe in your home. And so that last picture that was shown is actually kind of a home assessment that you can access from the CDC. It's just cdc.gov, and they have some really nice handouts and things for people to use to make sure that they're doing kind of a home assessment room by room. So, take a look in your kitchen, and here's what should be safe in your kitchen. Take a look in your bedroom, and here's what should be safe in the bedroom. You don't have bedclothes lying on the floor. You don't have dresser scarves on the table, so that if you grab the dresser, you would slide because your hand is pulling that dresser scarf down. You've got adequate lighting in case you need to get up to go to the bathroom. Some of these home assessments, and there's many of them available, but you go room by room and just take a good look at what could really cause me to fall in this room, and what can I do differently to make sure that I'm not falling. And yeah, so you might have to invest in some things. If you have pets, it might be helpful to invest in a baby gate, or something to close off a room if they're the kind of animal that jumps when the doorbell rings, and that's how my dog was. So I had to kind of put him in a different room when someone came to the house because he liked to jump. Little things like adding a piece of colored tape to this top step of your basement stairs, just to kind of give you that visual warning that here are the stairs, will help you to not miss that first step. Like I said, using those shower chairs or extra shower railings and things can really be helpful.
Great. Well, Valeree, we want to thank you so much for joining us today by reducing the home hazards. You gave us nice tips and information on free or even, some low-cost ideas to help spread the word, especially during Falls Prevention Month. Yep. So we want to thank you so much. We will make sure to include the website that you talked about for the checklist in the description of this video. If you or a loved one would be interested in this video, please feel free to tag them on Facebook or YouTube, and also feel free to also share this on your social media. Thank you again, Valeree, for joining us, and we want to thank everybody for joining us today, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.